Thank you for joining us for another session of Voices of the Village. Today, we thank you for bringing your positive vibes, positive energy, and courage. We hope that when you get off of this podcast that you would have gained some knowledge on the importance of mentorship, some knowledge about yourself, and possibly forward this to someone that you know really needed this word and is trying to make a difference in someone else's life, but may be struggling to figure out how they even get started.
Voices of the village, we rise, we sing. Every heart together, let the love take wing. Voices of the village, where dreams begin.
Today, we are honored to have Justin Vasquez with us, and I am excited to dive into his story, dive into his views on mentoring, and I hope that you get out of Justin the gems that I get out of having conversations with him. So, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely.
So, I want to know what makes you want to give back to your village or community?
That's a good question. So just growing up, single parent household, I just always wanted to, and I had to learn, figure things out oftentimes through, family members or people that I just knew in the area. So, but I always just wanted to be the adult that I never had, especially like working in the school system, seeing our youth and seeing them, the trials, tribulations, the traumas that they go through. I just always wanted to just be the example, the model for our youth, and essentially just give them a different perspective on what is being portrayed, on social media and things of that nature. Because social media is back in when I was growing up, it wasn't as prevalent. I'm in that weird in between where it's like we had it, but it wasn't as an everyday thing as it is now, and it wasn't so influential as it is now. And I just think that because I'm in the middle, I have that balance. I understand it, and I also don't steer from it, and I also know how it affects our youth. And with that being said, I just want to be the example to show them that you can still be cool without necessarily doing everything that is portrayed on music videos and things of that nature.
Yeah. So, can you give us a little bit about your story and how you got to where you're at today?
Yeah. So initially, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I came to Morgan State University. I actually never visited Baltimore in my ever. Morgan State was actually my very last choice. But I think that it was anointed by God for me to come to this area. So I ended up coming to Baltimore with one of my close friends, and we just kind of embarked on this journey together. And from there, I had joined a fraternity, and within that fraternity, there was a program called Guide Right, and that's where the brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi, we would mentor kids over the weekend. We'd take them play basketball, teach them life skills, teach them how to tie a tie, teach them how to fill out FAFSA applications, things of that nature. And that essentially kind of and I was actually one of the program directors for that particular chapter in Kappa Alpha Psi for our particular fraternity, for that school. And it was really fulfilling for me. Outside of everything that I was doing, it was just something that I felt like I was giving back and being that adult that I wish I never had.
Right.
And just being an example in that sense. And then I later transitioned, had a few jobs in between, and then I opened up my own studio. And with that, I noticed the likingness of how many kids wanted to learn how to do this, and how many kids wanted to gravitated towards music, and the knowledge that I had in regards to it. So then I used to host. I used to teach like 5 to 6 kids at a time, and within the school system, and we have an after-school program, and I'll just teach them how to make beats, teach them how to record, teach them how to songwrite, and then because the school saw the impact that I was having on the kids and how they was super interested, they then allowed me to have more students, and then I was able to teach them, and then kind of get them on the right track of like, if you're not going to school, you're not going to class, you can't go make beats with Mr. Justin, or things of that nature. So then, I then got into working with the school more in depth. I started working for this other company, and then I was the regional manager, and I was for mentoring and tutoring. And then from there, just kind of was able to really be impactful. We also did home visits where we made sure the kids was coming to school and knocking on doors and talking to families and trying to figure out the barriers for why kids wasn't coming to school and why some kids have behavioral issues and things of that nature.
So, what in you was a turning point where you knew your focus was going to be youth?
That's a good question. I didn't know because essentially I thought music was going to be like where I landed. But I always believe that God has a path for you. God has a storyline for you, and I think that the way things unfolded in my life, especially getting put into a position to work in the school system, I really seen how fulfilling and that this was something that I wanted to make full time outside of music.
So, being in the studio
Mhm.
with a lot of young people and maybe even some adults, what was that one story that you were like, yes, this is where I'm supposed to be,
Yeah.
and this is who I'm supposed to be helping?
Got you. So I had a great idea one time, and the principal had a good idea for us to make a school song,
Okay.
and then we made a school song for one of the schools that I was working with, and he just gave us a 2 to 3 week gap where we was um, heavily involved with the music program, teaching them instead of them playing on xylophones and trumpets and stuff, we was teaching them the lyrics, we teaching them beat, we teaching them cadence, and the kids loved it. Like, they all want to be rappers
Right,
in
right,
some sort of
right.
form, right? They loved it, and the way that they just was like excited to go to music class now, and all the lyrics are super motivational, and the song was called "Chin Up," and it was a song just speaking about lifting yourself up and always having confidence, and we ended up doing that, and then the way the kids like just the joy in their face, just the excitement of
That's pretty dope.
completing a song. They completed the song, and they loved it. And then we shot a music video, and then they was more engaged and they loved it more. That was just like like the way I was able to combine both of it, but the fulfillment to see them and like the happiness, the joy that they had. It was just I to this day I say that's my best work.
I
No
love
matter
it.
how many artists I work with, that's my best work. I love that. I love that aspect of it.
That's dope.
Yeah.
So you made a good point. Like everybody wants to be a rapper, right?
Yeah.
Are there people who okay, rapping's not your thing, but you might be a really good producer?
Yeah.
And so, how do you approach them? How do you mentor them through that
So,
transition?
so I'm not a good rapper. So because I still love music, I was able to find a different path. And the path was audio engineering and recording. So I just live by example and tell them like, hey, look, it's still possible. It's still possible to be on the music side, and there's so other different avenues you could go into publishing. You could go into executive A&R, and like you could still have a passion for music if you just can't gather your words and say it on a beat. It's still other avenues. So just showing them different pathways and just putting opportunities in front of them so that they understand that this is also a way.
Right. So, who has been a mentor to you throughout your journey?
Oh, I've had a lot. I will always say my aunt, my family, my close relatives. But I think as an adult, as I said, I was joined a fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi, and our fundamental purpose is achievement in every field of human endeavor. And with that, we hold strong because I have older frat brothers who are in every field. So if I want to be a dentist, I could talk to a frat brother who's a dentist. If I wanted to open up a car shop, I have frat brothers that do that, and they're achieving in their field. So I have multiple mentors. I have mentors that teach me emotional intelligence. I have mentors that teach me financial literacy. I have mentors that just teach me life skills that I grew up without a father. So there's things that I'm learning even as a homeowner now that I didn't know that they have experience with. So I have a plethora of mentors, and I think that was one of the reasons why I joined that. In a sense, to me it was a brotherhood, but when I look back at it, it's also mentorship too because it's like-minded individuals that come together for a bigger purpose,
Absolutely.
and that bigger purpose is achievement every field of your endeavor. So
So you made a really good point. You said you grew up without a father, and so I feel like a lot of the youth that we work with, their fathers aren't present, or they know of them, but they don't have access to them. And how do you think mentorship can fill that gap for some of our young people?
I think it'll fill a gap all the way around holistically. It's because mentorship allows you to ask the questions that you may not be able to ask AI, or nowadays they use AI, or be able
Right.
to ask um, somebody that doesn't think like them. But with mentorship, I think it's somebody that it relates to them, somebody that looks like them, somebody that they trust, and that they can ask them questions that it gives them more of a genuine perspective to it, like somebody that they feel cares about them and is getting guiding them in the right direction. So mentorship, I think, fills all the gaps with everything because, like again, I think a mentor should be the example, and if your mentee wants to be like you, they're gonna listen to you. They're gonna follow your guidance. They're gonna follow your coaching. They're gonna take heed to what you say. And I just think that mentorship fills in all those gaps of um, kids who just trying to figure it out
Right.
because they don't have to figure it out alone. They could take what you say, may not always apply it, but they'll be able to take their own thing, make sense of it, and then form it the way they do with of course with the mentor's guidance,
Right.
essentially.
How do you feel that your voice is making an impact in your village?
I think just like I said, by leading by example. I think that's what's most important, and I think even by leading that example is also allowing me to grow as a person and transform as a person because I know that I have to step up and be somebody that they look up to. So I have to do research on my emotional intelligence. I have to make sure that I'm going to therapy. I have to make sure that I'm achieving. I have to make sure all these things. And I think that with me doing that, it radiates to the mentees or to people I'm providing guidance. So I'm becoming a better person essentially. So that my voice is allowing them to see that this is okay too. Like there's a different pathways,
Right.
and because if I'm elevated, I'm able to give them more opportunities. I'm able to allow them to see other things that they may not be able to see.
So what I'm hearing, and you can tell me if I'm in the right
Mhm.
direction or not, but what I'm hearing is your own vulnerability allows you the space to use your voice to be able to be a good mentor onto others and also to be a good steward of mentorship.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because like for instance, like the emotional intelligence part is really important to me. To be able to be transparent, be vulnerable, to understand your emotions. It took me a very long time to understand and how important it is
You're
for.
still doing good. I mean, look how
Yeah,
many men are
yeah.
much older than you and haven't discovered those parts of them,
Right,
right?
right. So, but just learning about emotions because I think emotions, for the most part, controls a lot of things. And just if I'm not able to navigate or to show how to control it, how am I going to be able to tell my mentee to control it?
Right.
Who may have more traumas or been through things that the average person hasn't been
Right.
through. So, yeah. So I do think the vulnerability and I do think understanding that aspect is a big thing.
Well, I thank you. I think the one thing that I will be able to walk away with is continuing to voice like that emotional intelligence and getting to a place where it's normalized for us to expose our kids to those type of conversations
Absolutely.
opposed to the more disciplinary conversations that we have with them.
Right.
And so, what is one thing that you want someone who is sitting out there, they really struggle with their emotions, they might still go from 0 to, 60, who have this fear of people really knowing deep down inside, like their struggles, their emotions that they're going through. They feel like they have to have this masculine approach. But even for some females, like some of us females, we feel like we have to be, hard and aggressive
Yeah.
with the way that we talk or how we try to get somebody to listen to us. What would you offer us?
So I think it's super important to understand what your triggers are. Do the shadow work on your own time to understand what those triggers are and find methods that work for you because my methods may be different from your methods. Find methods that work for you and just really just genuinely understand that vulnerability builds connection. in any essence, in any relationship, whether it's with your kids, whether it's your mother, whether it's with your coworkers, that sometimes people shy away from being vulnerable, but ultimately that creates a safe space for people to trust you, to understand, and to understand your genuineness, and it opens the door for a connection.
Yep.
And instead of trying to shy away from it, just genuinely understand that connection is what breeds relationships. And if you want to have a strong relationship with somebody, you have to be able to connect with them, and you have to be able to be vulnerable with them.
Absolutely.
And transparent. So
Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. And as I walk away from this conversation, I'm definitely going to continue to make myself aware of that emotional intelligence, and then how are we really communicating it throughout even all of our programming that we have. How are we making sure we incorporate it in the day-to-day work that we're doing with our participants, to build this safe haven for themselves, but also to start kind of breaking those generational cycles of we don't tell, we don't talk, this stays in our house, those type of things, so we can go ahead and feed people's souls. I think everything that you have shared with us is really around feeding somebody's soul, to get them to be able to be at a place where they're vulnerable enough to say, hey, I'm ready to heal. I'm ready to talk about my trauma. I'm ready to be different. I don't like who I am today. But even being honest enough to say, you know, I could really be ugly at sometimes. And what does that mean for me? You know, and what does that mean for the people that I'm in their space? You know, when I'm ugly. And I just really thank you for that conversation. I thank you for your intentions. And definitely look forward to seeing like what you're doing, where you're going, and then also the music that you're helping produce. So it's really dope. So I thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
That I'm highly favored, I'm never wavered. The fact that I'm here is an understatement. I put the work in the pavement. How long? For years and years without a payment. Don't ask if I know what faith is, I'm a step away. Can't believe I almost really stepped away. Watch so many curve me at the bottom like the letter J. Was on E, contemplating on it every day. Thought it was sus, but Jesus helped me find